Welcome to SABM Training and Consulting. SABM Training and Consulting is a professional accounting training school. We actually specialize in training PCC, ICANN, other professional accounting applications. Now, but specifically, we are also into accounting software, and then we have coming up security accounting training for professional accountants and business managers. So, who are what are we going to gain from attending this training? We all know that accounting software is taking over the work of accountants. Accountants are expected to be uh, a consultant for the near future. So most of the work that accountant does now will be done by uh, software. So it is important for us to know how to use accounting software. Sage Accounting is one of the most popular accounting software across the world, and specifically in Nigeria. Now, what are those things that we are going to get from using accounting software? What's the importance of accounting security accounting software? The first and the most important thing is that security accounting software is going to help us manage customers. Customers is uh, uh, number one and the most important aspect of our business management because that's what customers pay the company. So effective customer management in terms of the account, the money collected from customer, goods delivered to customers or service delivered to customers is very important to business success. Then the second is the product management. So we most business find it difficult to effectively manage uh, the movement of that product. So the quantity of products received, quantity sold so far, the inventory levels, uh, what what quantity should be ordered at a particular point in time, at what time it should be ordered, what should be the quantity in the warehouse when new order should be placed. That is the order level. So all these security will help your business to manage. Then the managing your suppliers, just like customers. If you are not in good terms with your suppliers, you find it difficult to be in good terms with your customers. Then managing your account, the different types of accounts, your rental accounts, your expenses accounts, your bank accounts. So the balances in this account and what it is at the end of the year and how you manage it is very key to business success. Then we're also going to learn how to manage our finances. So managing our finance means how money comes into the business and how it goes out of the business. So money comes both from customers that pay the company, money comes from investors, the money comes from bank loan. Then how do we deploy this money for investment in new capital for expenses within the company? So the software is going to help you manage it and monitor it so that you can effectively know where your money comes and where your money goes. Then managing your business. Security can help you effectively manage your business. So what you do manually by signing memos, giving approvals, which can take longer time, uh, and can be done on the system. Then we also are going to know how to manage company fund. Then who are expected to attend this training. So we the professional accountants, those who are members of professional body, accounting body like ICANN or ACCA, but who are not used to accounting software. It is not that we are going to be teaching you accounting, but we are going to teach these people how to use the software to achieve what they already know, what they do manually or with Excel. So that's why it's important to learn how to use security to prepare account, because it's going to save you time, it's going to save you cost. Then business managers who are not accountants can also learn how to use security, because they will receive reports from accountants, and instead of just getting the printed hard copy papers, they can also have access to the software and be able to see whether the software is manipulated, or when it is being printed out, something is changed. So managers can have access to it in his office and be able to check how transaction is being conducted, especially when you have it in a network and you're having a real-time posting. Then the students, accounting students who are willing to go into full-time accounting profession either as an accountant, preparing financial statements, or auditor, or tax practitioner, or an investor, so or fund manager. So students who are looking at finance as the professional, as a professional in the future, can also partake. Then course member. So these are going to help students who are just leaving the school, who are serving, and it's going to help them get job faster. Even if you are not an accountant, most business now use accounting software. We'll talk about helping you, software helping you manage your business. It means even if you are in the sales department, if you are a clerk of the company, if you are in the store, if you are even a marketer, you need knowledge of accounting, because most of what you do manually might have to do it on the system. The software can be connected to your mobile phone, even as a marketer, as you work to see your clients. You might have to update information on the software. You can post order immediately so that you can easily be processed in the office. Then business consultant that give business advice. And if you have to give advice to business that is wrong on the software, to be faster for you to extract information so that you can advise your clients appropriately. Then so the first thing we are going to learn in this training is how to create a new company. So creating company in Sage Accounting is we are creating a reporting entity. So if you have a company that have branches or that have subsidiary, and you want each of these sections to be reported differently, we're going to create it separately. So when the reporting entity is what is called a company in the in Sage 50. So information will be required for us to input on the software. So we need information such as the address of the company, the telephone number, the website of the company. Then the second information that we would need is the business type. Is it a limited liability company, a public company, a sole proprietorship, or other form of business? Because this will help in determining the kind of chart of account that we're going to need. Then the chart of accounts. So chart of account is the list of all the accounts that will use, that will record all the transactions of the company. So we might have to select whether we are going to pick a sample of chart of account on the system, especially if those that will be using it, or the person that is actually creating the company is not a professional accountant. So the software comes with a sample chart of account, given the type of business that we have selected. So, or you might also choose to design the chart of account ourselves. So professional accountants can design the chart of account themselves. Then they will be depending on who is creating the company, depending on the level of knowledge of being an accountant. So that's the next thing that will be done when creating the account. Then subsidiary companies. So you might have, I said earlier that creating a new company is 50 is creating a reporting entity. But that does not mean that you can't have a segment report. So you can have a company and where it has a subsidiary or a section or a branch, and you don't want um, a separate report. You want the reports together, but you still want to be able to separate such branch, such departments, and generate reports for that department. So the system is going to ask you for that if you need that to be included. Then we will also be asked the posting method. Is it real time or batch? Real time is when you click save after inputting the information about the transaction, other invoice receipts or payments or other type of transaction. If it is real time, once you click save, it's going to hit the general ledger. It will be saved and it will go to update the account immediately. But if it is batch, it's not going to update the account immediately. You have to set the time that you want it to update, either automatically or you do it manually. So it might be because someone has to review it before it is posted to the account. So this is the first thing that will be done, and the account. Then again, we will also be uh, uh, asked to select the accounting method. Is it accrual or cash? So accounting is prepared based on accrual basis, but small business are allowed to prepare account on cash basis. So if it is that kind of business, we can choose the accounting method that we want to prepare. Then the accounting period. When are we starting? Starting what month are we starting? What will be the period of the account? So it's definitely going to be 12 months, but when we start, we determine when the account we wrote. If we are starting from January, it means we are running January to December account. If we are starting from March, it means we are running March to February account. So after that, we are now we look at chart of account. We design the chart of account ourselves. As I said earlier, is either we are selecting the chart of account that comes with the software, or we will have to design it ourselves. So chart of account is a comprehensive or complete list of all the accounts that are record the transaction of the company, and which is used in the general ledger. So it's the account will always have account ID, and this ID is what holds the information of the system. The name can be changed, but the ID cannot just be changed. There is a special way of changing the ID, but because the ID that actually holds the information of the system. Then accounts are used to classify transactions. So we know when we say account, we tend to use it to classify the type of transaction. Is it an expense account? Is it a revenue account? Is it an asset account? Is it an equity account, or is it a liability account? So that the chart of account is very important, and is the bedrock of all accounting preparation. So chart of account can also vary depending on the type of business. So a trading business will have a trading business will have accounts such as sales, revenue, inventory, and so on. But we are looking at a service business like accounting firm. You might not see things like inventory. So that's this will be the guide as to the type of business we are going to select. So the next thing is we are going to look at budgeting. So we can create budgets within the software. Either we create it new projects that is the beginning, looking at an idea of zero-based budgeting where all the figures are created new, or we can use the previous budget as the budget for this year, or just make little adjustment to it. Or we can use last year actuals as budget for this year, and now just make adjustment for no changes, which is called mental budgets. Then again, we can make adjustment to this figure of budget, as I said earlier. But at the end of the year, we can also use the software to prepare what is called flexible budget to reflect the level of, the level of transaction, the level of activity compared to what you budget at the beginning of the year. Okay, so after budget, the next thing is that will go to our customer modules. So in customer modules, we are going to we'll go to set up the customers and sales. So the first thing is to create the customer. So these are information that will be standard, that will be constant on the software. But is it going to be setting up customer means that we have to give the customer ID, we have to give the customer name, the customer address, the phone number, and so on. Then again, we include the customer beginning balance. At the time we are starting to use the software, the customer might be having balance with the company, and we have to include this balance on the software so that subsequent transactions can now be used to update the balance. Then we'll learn how to generate invoice for the customer, how to print the invoice for the customer, how to receive money from customer from the system template, and how to generate credit memo. That is, if customer return goods, so the template where we are going to use to post that item receipt so that credit can be given to customer. Then we learn much about customer reports, the account receivables, template, that different kind of report that we can generate from it. Then we'll go to suppliers model, just like customers. We need to maintain vendors, those that supply us with either a trading company who will give us goods to sell, or a manufacturing company where we buy our raw materials. And just like customers, we have to determine the beginning balance. So the beginning balance, the money that we are owing to supplier orders, or the money that supplier is owing us if we are paid in advance. So these amounts will have to be inputted on the software at the beginning balance, so that then we are starting to use the software so that subsequent transactions can now update this balance. Then we'll also learn how to enter purchase invoice. That is the goods that we receive from our supplier. So how do we enter it on the system and to update? So when we enter on the system, it will update the supplier's account. It will also update the inventory account. So the goods are received notes is what we use to update that. Then how to pay vendors. So we look at payment templates, because when you receive goods from the vendor, from the supplier, you see how to pay the vendor. So how do you pay the vendor? Then credit memo, just like customers credit memo, suppliers credit memo. So when we supply goods to, when we receive goods from suppliers, and maybe suppliers has actually given us good more than what we have paid for, or when we also return goods to customer. So to suppliers. So how do we generate that? Then the next is job costing. So job is different from trading or manufacturing. So it's like a one-off transactions, and it is very good for companies that are operating in the construction company, for instance, because most of them will handle the business in a job pattern, in the sense that each house that is built, for instance, will be unique. So you need to cost each house, you need to track each expenses and revenue for each house, and so that you know whether you will profit or not. Because what in job costing and in most business that do job, the problem is that they will know the revenue from the beginning, because the contract sum will be the revenue. But most people find it difficult to track expenses. So job costing in security will help you track your expenses, and you can also divide it into pieces, like building house now, the first floor, might be the first phase, second floor might be the second phase, so that you can track revenue and expenses at each stage of the job. Will also be building carcass will be first phase, room, second phase, and so on, depending on the way we have to. But each job has to be created, just like create inventory, for instance. So you have to create each job. If a construction company is building 10 houses for 10 different customers, so each house will be have its own ID, revenue, and expenses. Okay. Then just like customers, job can also have beginning balance. At the time we're starting to use the software, we might have revenue that's been brought forward and expenses that have been incurred so far. So that will be brought forward in the system so that subsequent revenue will be increased in revenue if there's a change in contract sum, or expenses and expenses will now be used to update then job report that different reporting templates for job. Then the next one is the payroll. So the first thing is to set up the payroll. Setting up payroll means that we are setting up information that relates to the business and to all the employees. So like the company's staff or payroll policy, like leave, like benefits such as pension, such as uh, tax, and so on. So these are what relate to the business. So that is the first stage. The second stage is now create individual employee on the system and updates, information about individual staff, their name, the date of employment, its status of the employment, and the amount to be paid, the basic salary, the allowances, and so on. And the type of the frequency which you pay each staff, whether it is salary, whether it is wages, monthly, or weekly. Then paying the employee. So at the end of the month, you learn how to generate payslip for each employee. Then also reports. So there are different reporting templates for employee. Then banking, very important. So the first thing is that we need to first familiarize, as I said, with the banking template. Then the next thing is to select a receipt for deposit. So selecting receipt for deposit, because it might not be all fund that comes into the business, or all money received from customer, for instance, will be the one that will be paid to the bank. Some might be used within the company. So we need to select those transactions, those receipts, cash that actually go to the bank. And the second thing is to actually carry out the reconciliation. So that is comparing what we have in general ledger with the what we have on the bank statements. So we might be able to do this automatically or manually. So if, for instance, we have the exact copy of the bank statement, we can import it on the software and it will update automatically. It means we don't have to post those transactions. Then banking report, we need to look at bank reconciliation statements and other reports about bank. Then general journal. So journal entries are transactions that are not posted on other templates like payment template, receipt template, invoice templates, sales order, those other templates. So these are transactions that are not in those templates, so that we can use general journal to do that. And general journal will always have its own debit and credit on the same templates. So transactions such as depreciation for the month, adjustment, prior year adjustment, and so on can be carried on to on the general template. Then we can also have a recurring journal entry, like a transaction that we know it will recurring. So instead of posting it every month, for instance, like depreciation that we are going to charge the income statement on a monthly basis. So instead of posting it on a monthly basis, we can have this amount posted once, and it's going to spread to all the period that we want it to spread to, since it's the same amount. Then finally, we'll be looking at reports. So the general ledger report, which is going to show all the transactions that are posted to all the accounts from the beginning to the end, how we can, open the general ledger and see all the debit and credit entries in all the ledgers, all the ledger account. Then the financial statements, which is the summary of all the transactions that we have done. So we look at uh, SFP, we look at income statement, we look at cash flow. We can print different way of printing income statements, monthly, yearly, and so on. The number of years that we can compare, so we're going to learn how to do that, and we're going to learn how to print a statement. We can also redesign financial statements, income statement, SFP, cash flow, and other statements in a way that uh, management wants. You can present it the way there is standard that comes with the software, but we learn how to design it to present it the way that, for instance, we have all the assets up, and we only have equity down, or we have asset up, we have all asset up, we deduct liability, so then we have only equity down, or we have asset up, we have equity and liability under. Then the last stage, apart from learning how to do the posting, is the system setting. So we're going to look at a system function like global option, for instance, where we can set how the number of decimals that we want in the posting, depending on the type of transactions. If we are selling item that is not a fraction, for instance, we might not have any decimals. Do we want this decimal to be there automatically, or we want to put it manually? Do we want to hide the GL account for the person that is posting, or we want it to open? Because if the GL account is open and the person that is posting is not an accountant, does not know the effect of debit and credit. So that such person can change the GL account that's been posted to, and it will go to a different account. So it will make reconciliation complicated. But if we have if we have someone who is not an account doing that post, so we can hide it so that such mistake will not occur. So that's what we do in global function, for instance. Then maintaining our data. So when we get to maintain, we can maintain different standing data like name of customer, chart of accounts, suppliers, inventory, and so on. Then backup is very important. We can backup on the system. We can backup externally. We can also backup automatically. We can set a time for where the system will back up itself, and we create a folder where that will back up on. We can also back up online, but backing up is very important because if anything happens to the system, all we need is just to restore the software so that we update the data. But if we don't do that, we don't have a backup, all the information, all data will be lost if there's something wrong with the system. Then we also learn how to restore the backup. So it's not enough for us to back up, something happens, so how do we restore it? We learn how to do that. Then audit trail is where we can use to track our transactions that have been worked on the system. So if someone logged into the system, I can see the ID of the person that logged in, the name of the person that logged in, the time the person logged in, the transaction the person worked on. So it's the system administrator or senior managers will be the one that will have access to it. So that then we have a changing accounting period. Accounting period is months. So if we are posting, if we are in April now and we are posting in April, once April ends, we need to change the accounting period to April so that we don't make mistake of posting transaction that is meant for May in April. Then the workflow is where the supervisor have to monitor what the junior staff are doing. So we have to do every transaction we are signing to so that the such transaction can be called up by senior staff and check if the transaction is actually posted correctly, whether the customer is supposed to be generated invoice for instance, whether it's the customer that is not supposed to be that is having the company is having issued with, and the customer is not supposed to be giving goods. So such transaction will be assigned to senior staff and can be checked by senior manager. So this training is continuous, is ongoing,
and we have a classroom training, we have online training. So we advise you to register as early as possible so that they can have access to a discount. So you can call the phone number that you are seeing on the screen now, or go to our website, which is www.sabm.com.ng. On our website, there's a link where you can register, input the kind of training you want, the time you want, the type of training you want, either it is online or classroom, is on our website. Then we'll contact you and fix you to to any of the class that is ongoing that is convenient for you. Then you can also send email to our address info@sabm.com.ng. One of our representative is going to call you, call your number. So thank you and see you in the class.